Now, Pop! OS is arguably the very best distribution of Linux based on Debian, and that is for good reason. It just works, it's great for gaming, it's a great beginner operating system, but there is one issue with it, in my opinion, and that is the GNOME desktop environment. Now, don't get me wrong, GNOME is a great environment for a lot of people, but it lacks a lot of the customization features that I like to have. By default, all you can really do is pick between a light and a dark theme, and that's about it. I have a whole video on the 5 things to do after you install Pop! OS, and one of them is to install GNOME tweaks, and that gives you a little bit more customization options, but not much. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is going over installing the KDE Plasma desktop environment over Pop! OS, as well as a new display manager or login screen, as well as some of the general theming options and widgets and some of the other things that you could do with it. So getting right into it, we are in this is a fresh install of Pop! OS. It doesn't need to be a fresh install, but this is what I'm currently running. And first things first, whenever you do anything, you're going to want to do sudo apt-update. We'll check your system for updates, and then you could see I do have some available. So if you do have some, just go sudo apt upgrade like so, and hit yes, and then your system will begin to update. Now, while it does this, just for any of you who don't know, the desktop environment isn't the distribution, it is what you are seeing, it's what you're interacting with, it's what allows you the customization options, the window managers, all of that. A lot of people kind of confuse this with distributions because a lot of people hop distro to distro trying to look for that best look, that best feel, when in reality it's really the desktop environment, and you don't even really need to reinstall operating systems to get a new desktop environment. It's as simple as running a couple commands, which I'm about to show you in just a sec. Once the system is fully updated, we're actually going to go ahead and install KDE Plasma. Now, the reason I'm going with this one is because out of all of them, it's the most customizable, and in most cases it actually performs a little bit better than GNOME when it comes to RAM utilization and things like that. So we're just going to go with sudo apt install and then the kde-plasma-desktop. Now, you could theoretically either install this is the most bare bones, this is only the desktop environment and all of its dependencies. You could also do sudo apt install kde-standard, which would include the Plasma desktop environment as well as some of their in-house built applications, such as their text editor, Kate, their download manager, their email client, and a couple other things in addition to what the Plasma desktop makes you have. And then there's the KDE full installation, which will have everything you'd expect in a KDE operating system out of the gate. But I do warn you, I do recommend just going with the Plasma over Pop! OS because there might be interferences and you could have issues later on down the road. So let's go ahead and hit enter. It's going to be about 1 gigabyte, so this might take a minute, but we're going to go ahead and hit Y and install. And then during the installation, you're going to have this screen here asking you to configure your display manager. It's going to have this up. GDM3 is the default display manager that comes with GNOME, and SDDM is the default display manager that comes with KDE. Now, with this install, SDDM does not look very good out of the box. We're going to go with GDM3. This really doesn't matter because we're actually going to install a different display manager than what is available here. So for now, I would suggest just go with GDM3, and then it's going to actually install this desktop environment. So now once KDE is fully installed, we're going to go ahead and install LightDM. Now, LightDM, as I said, is a display manager or login screen that will allow you better customization down the road. I'm not going to get too into LightDM customization at this moment. There will be a video on that in the future, so make sure you subscribe to get notified when that comes out. But just the general look of this is better than both of these. So we're going to go with sudo apt-get install LightDM, just like that. Hit enter. We're going to go with Y, so it will download and install the packages. And you're going to get a screen like this. This looks familiar. We were just in a screen like this for the KDE installation. But now we have three options. We have JDM3, LightDM, and SDDM. We're going to want to go with the LightDM one because that is what we just installed, or are installing. So once this is done, everything else we're going to do is actually going to be in KDE. So we're going to go ahead and reboot our system. So I'm just going to type that into the terminal. And then it's going to go ahead and reboot my machine. So you can see LightDM is up and working, and this is your display manager here. From here you'll have some settings, but not much. You have shutdown and suspend, you have your volume control, some network stuff, and some accessibility settings here. Right next to your username, if you click on this little dot, you can actually pick what desktop environment you boot into. So you see Plasma, Pop, and Pop on Wayland are available. So doing this doesn't overwrite GNOME or anything really, unless if you go through and you manually disable GNOME. So you do always have the option to revert back if you end up not liking the Plasma desktop environment. So gonna go ahead and make sure that's selected and type in our password, and then we'll have this logo Plasma made by KDE. So now we are in the KDE desktop environment. You see here, this is your application launcher. Everything looks completely different, but from the core and from your file system and everything like that, it is all the same. Now I do know this does not look very good out of the box, but changing the theming is actually really easy. All we need to do is go over into our system settings, and just with this you can see how much more options under appearance we have. For example, if we go under global theme, this is just what's included by default is the Breeze and Breeze Dark. But if you go ahead and click on Get New Global Themes, then this window will come up, and here you have a ton of different themes to choose from. So let's just scroll down here and check something out. I know this one's really nice. This is the Lion Look and Feel theme. Let's go ahead and check this out. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different ones to choose from, even on through here, the KDE store, or through other websites. So I could go ahead and install this. Click install through here, and then it's going to go ahead and run that. And then once it's installed, close it out, pick our theme, apply it, and it has been applied. So you can see that changes a lot of the look and feel here. Click here and we can see that all the icons have changed. It just looks beautiful. If we open up Dolphin, our file manager that comes by default, you can see what it looks like through here. In addition, you could change any other elements of the theme. So we have our Plasma style. This is the buttons and just what everything looks like that you could actually interact with. You have the application style. So let's say you liked how the buttons look on one theme, but you liked everything else on another. It's no problem. You could go ahead and install multiple themes and pick what you want. In addition to theming, there are a ton of different widgets and things you could add to your desktop. So if I just go ahead and I right click here, I could do add widgets. And then it brings up all of the widgets available by default. I could click on Get New Widgets and download new Plasma widgets, and then it opens up this Plasma theme, the KDE store. So you could go ahead and select what you want here. Now let's say one of the reasons you liked Pop! OS was because of the how their menu was laid out. Well, with this, that's no problem. I could download something like this, the Launchpad Plasma, install it, and that is installed that quick. I can right click, add widget, go to the one I just downloaded, which was titled Launcher, Plasma Launcher, drag and drop this down here, and we can use this to completely replace our menu. So if I clicked on this one instead, you see it has the GNOME style launcher. Everything's customizable. There's just so many options, it's unbelievable. I have a whole video on the 10 good KDE widgets that are good to start with. All of them are awesome. I use most of them on a daily basis, so go ahead and check that out. Like I said, there will be videos coming out going over very specific theming tutorials, going over how to get it to look like Windows or Mac, and some additional things like shouting out some of the best themes that are out there, and going over some configuration to get the most out of your new KDE desktop environment. So stay tuned for those. I hope you have a great day. Like I said, if you don't like this, you can always revert back in the display manager to GNOME. That's about it. I hope you have a great day, and goodbye.